automaticamente. Ok.
Quindi inizio.
Sì, dice una cosa, dice qui you are in a practice session, poi dice start webinar. Forse clicco
No,
start
start
webinar,
webinar.
no?
Sì, sì.
Okay, let's get this started. Okay, this webinar has started.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this presentation of One-Click FX, an incredible trading tool that can be available to you starting from today, thanks to this new partnership between Vantage and Trading Engineering. Vantage is, of course, the broker that's sponsoring this event, and Trading Engineering is the company that has created One-Click FX and many other tools for MetaTrader. Before we start, though, I'd like to present to you the partnerships manager at Vantage. Mila, would you like to intervene and kick off this webinar?
Yes, thank you, Fabrizio. Pleasure to be here. My name is Mila Beta. I am a partnership manager at Vantage from the Melbourne office based in Australia, but I'm currently located in France, hence the time zones. And my time in this industry has been centered mostly in business development, coordinating and negotiating partnerships from people all over the world, mostly Europe and LATAM. One-Click FX tool exclusively available to Vantage clients is a great example of one of the partnerships we've formed with Fabrizio, who's my panelist today, and Rosita from Trading Engineering. And I'm very pleased to be announcing this amazing tool today to our English-speaking clients. Thanks, Fabrizio. Take it away.
Thank you, Mila. So one last thing before we start, I'd like to remind to all of you that any material and or content provided herein is intended for educational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice on how clients should trade, as it does not take into consideration your personal objectives, financial circumstances, or needs. So please seek independent advice before making any trading decisions. Reliance on such material is solely at your own risk, and the company, Vantage Global Limited, and also Trading Engineering, cannot be held responsible for any losses resulting directly or indirectly from such reliance. Past performance, of course, is not indication of future results. So with that said, moving along, I am Fabrizio Alessandro. I studied economics. I worked for a couple of banks right after the university. And then in 2016, I made my transition to the online trading world. That's the year when I met my current colleagues. And as of today, I'm an independent trader, analyst, and trainer for the Trading Engineering Group, of which MQL Suite is a branch. It's within MQL Suite that we created One-Click FX, which is a set of professional indicators for MT4 and MT5, created by my group, which in 2016 started developing trading tools, providing support to brokers and traders, and offering training to Italian and foreign traders, mainly with our instruments, because our instruments are not only great trading tools, but they're also tools that help the traders to learn how to read the market, how to understand the market, and of course, how to operate. So Trading Engineering and our tools are instruments that can make your trading simple. And it's my intention to demonstrate this to you today. Of course, the tool that we are presenting today, as you all know, is One-Click FX, which is, as I was saying, a set of professional indicators for MetaTrader. It's been created by us to make online trading simple and accessible to everyone. Let's say that One-Click FX is the ideal tool for those who are just starting to trade and for those who want to understand how the market moves and where to take a position. Let's see. One-Click FX provides automatically a multi-time frame analysis of the market, which is provided in real time It has 3 integrated trading strategies and algorithmic studies. And so with all this, what you get is a faster analysis of the market, objective information. You easily understand what the market is actually doing. You get a correct reading of trend and momentum. And also, we're going to see together, the tools are going to help you to control your emotions, which is, of course, fundamental for any trader, because of course the market is a really complex place. It's really dangerous, and many times as traders we are taken carried away with our emotions. We lose objective judgment. So we need some instruments in support that are going to limit the interference of our emotions in our trading. So let's move directly to the platform so I can show you what I'm talking about. This is OneClickFX. OneClickFX is basically a profile consisting of 2 windows. The first contains a multifunctional panel. We call it Square Dashboard, which is both a percentage analysis tool and a navigation instrument. And the second contains 3 different technical studies that, combined with the information provided and forever true in this sector. In order to trade properly in a simple and effective way, we need to be able to do 3 things. We need to easily follow and understand. Sorry, I may be having some trouble with my connection. Let me check it out. Sorry. Can you still hear me, Mila?
Yes, I can hear you, Fabrizio.
Okay.
No worries.
Okay, it's coming back, so we're fine. So in order to trade in a simple and effective way, we need to be able to do 3 things. We need to easily follow and understand the trend of the market. We need to find ourselves in the right place at the right time. And finally, we have to precisely determine where to enter and where to exit the market. Now, let's see how easy it becomes to do all this with OneClickFX. So first things first, how do we follow the market trend, and how do we understand what investors are doing? Well, we simply follow the color with Square Dashboard. As you can see, Square Dashboard returns the current price and percentage variation of all the instruments of our customizable symbol list on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So let's take the euro dollar, for example. It's down by 0.33% for the month, 0.2% for the week, but on a daily basis, it's rebounding. As you can see, we are in positive territory. So it was in a bearish trend, but now we are in the middle of a correction. So this is not a trending instrument. The symbols that make positive returns on all 3 time frames are colored green. They are in a bullish trend. Those with negative returns on all time frames are in a bearish trend. So let's take, for example, pound US dollar, which is the current opening. And then we have gray symbols, which you might have already gathered what characteristics show. They do not present a clear-cut trend. So they may be in the middle of a correction, for example, as Canadian dollar yen or Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. So these are the instruments that might be more interesting for a contrarian setup, let's say. But of course, the main goal of OneClickFX is to help the trader to follow the trend. So Square Dashboard tells us basically what are the best symbols to trade and what is the correct approach. It also tells us with a simple look what investors as a whole are doing. So if we create, just as I did, a symbol list that contains all the important currency pairs, the main indices, the most valuable commodities. We're going to be able to understand with a simple look whether investors are seeking exposure to risky assets or they're trying to protect their capital by acquiring safe assets. So perhaps everybody knows here, but we have to be clear what are the risky assets. Of course, the risky assets are the indices, oil, commodities, the commodity currencies, meaning the Australian, the New Zealand dollar, the Canadian dollar, and the pound, and of course, the cryptocurrencies, which are still in a bearish trend, as you can see. Perhaps we see it better on a higher time frame. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum, the blue chips of the sector, are still in a clear-cut bearish trend. So when risky assets are green, which is not the case right now, you don't want to fight the speculators. You want to ride their coattails. On the other hand, when they're afraid of something and they start to move their capital towards safer bets, you don't want to be caught buying or holding those risky assets. You want to buy gold, well, perhaps not these days, yen, Swiss franc, and of course, the US dollar. You see, with Square Dashboard, we have the market at our fingertips. It's all it takes is a simple look to understand not only the trend of any single financial instrument, but also the market sentiment. Okay, so with a simple look at Square Dashboard, we are able to determine if we are facing a risk on or a risk off market for the day, for the week, and for the month. Okay, so it's very simple to understand what the entire market is doing, because one of the vices of the traders, especially the beginners, is to trade a couple of instruments because specializing on a couple of instruments is actually something that can be worth your while. But many times traders actually trade without knowing what the rest of the market is doing. And this is what Square Dashboard does for us. So it lets us know what the entire market is doing. And this allows us to know if the usual correlations between risky and safe assets are actually in play. So we always know what's going on, what's changing in real time. And once we understand what's the sentiment of the market, which are the most interesting instruments, we can also very easily navigate the market. As you can see, as I told you earlier on, this is a navigation tool. So let's say we recognize a bullish trend on US dollar, Canadian dollar. It's with one click from this, the name of the instrument, we can open the chart. Then we move to another one. And this is totally unprecedented on the MetaTrader 4 platform. And our instruments aim at improving the usability, because the experience of the MetaTrader platform can be very difficult, especially if you don't know it very well. And so with these instruments, the entire experience of the platform is actually revolutionized. I've been trading and using on the MetaTrader these tools for 6-7 years now, and I couldn't go back to the naked MetaTrader because it's much more simple this way, and the amount of information that I have at my disposal, the trend, and also the technical studies also already traced on my charts. I used to spend a lot of time tracing trend lines, tracing supports and resistances. With these instruments, for every instrument of your watch list, they're all traced automatically on the chart. So thanks to the navigation function, we can also see when an instrument starts trending, for example. And this is another great advantage that speaks to the to the great aspect of one-click FX, which is giving you real-time information. So once you determine what's the instrument that you want to trade, you move on to the technical study. And the first template that we provide with one-click FX is the percent pivot template. It's built around the percentage levels of this indicator that we call percent pivot. And percent pivot provides a real operational grid, as you can see. The percentage levels calculated over different time horizons are highly reactive, supports and resistances, as you can see. They can be used as reference points to define entry levels, stop losses, and take profits for scalping, intraday, and multi-day operations. We have daily, weekly, and monthly levels, a set of levels for every time horizon. So if you take the Eurodollar chart, for example, and you look at it up to the H1 time frame, you're going to see the daily levels of resistance and support calculated starting from the previous daily close, and they move by increments of 0.25. If you move on to H4, you're going to see the weekly levels, okay, calculated starting from the previous weekly close, and on the daily time, and here the increments are of 0.5%, and on the daily time frame, you see the monthly grid. So with one instrument, one template, you can do intraday, weekly, and monthly trading. And the best thing is that you get the operational grid the moment the time frame opens. So every day for the daily grid, every week on Sunday when the market opens, on H4, and every first day of the month for the one you see on the daily time frame. So if you're a person that can stay every day like me in front of the monitor all day, you can avail yourself even of the daily levels to trade. But if you have a different job, and this is something that you do on the side as a second job, as a second career, you also have the opportunity to use timeframes that are more suitable to the time that you can spend in front of the monitor, in front of the markets. Now, let's see how it actually works. So let's take a trending instrument, for example. Let's take the NASDAQ, let's say. First of all, I'd like to point out, this is very important, the efficacy of these levels on every single financial instrument. So it's not a question of selecting some specific forex pairs or indices or commodities. These levels are relevant on any type of financial instrument, and this is because those that actually move the market reason in terms of percentages. We see on the news the Dow today was down 700 points, but money managers do not think about pips, about points. Their calculations are based on the percentages that the market makes. And I may be wrong, but these are 10 analyses, and you can go back in time asking for more analysis from the indicator. But as you can see, every major and or minor swing point actually occurs on these levels or around these levels. So there has to be something to these levels, and every level, which we know in advance, corresponds to a specific price that we can see simply moving the cursor over the lines. As you can see, we could go back for 100 periods, and you will see that all the swing points on the Eurodollar and all the other instruments are on these levels. So they are not simple supports and resistances. They are much more powerful than usual highs and lows that we usually monitor. As you can see, up from minus 0.75, down from plus 0.50, up from minus 0.5, okay, and so on forever. This is actually something that we can see every day, every week, every month. So these are really important levels to monitor. And once we get to know them, they're going to be exceptional references to set up our trades. Let me show you how it works. So I was taking the NASDAQ as an example. Let's take a longer term. So let's say a weekly grid. So what happened this week? We had both a long signal and a short signal, very clear. So how does this work? We start from a reference range, which goes from the first resistance to the first support. If the market breaks above the resistance, and we are trending, of course, we open a long position. We place our stop loss below the support, and then we set up our take profit order on a percentage level, which is in confluence with a previous price structure. So we had a long signal for the week, a much clearer one last week, and the long signal this week exhausted exactly on a previous swing low. So you buy at 0.50 and you put your take profit at 2%, where you have a previous support. Of course, the stop loss would have been placed below minus 0.50%. But then the market inverted because this was a short-term trend. And then it gave the bearish signal below the support. And as you can see, it reached the previous price structure, and it's still going. And of course, we wouldn't want you to simply trade a breakout when an instrument is trending. We also want to give you confirmation, and this is why we added the algorithmic analysis. Here we can see the RSI. You're going to see the RSI related to every single time frame. So on H1, you're going to see the H1 RSI, and so on H4, the 4-hour RSI, and so on. So if the breakout of the resistance or the support occurs with a supporting algorithmic analysis, chances are the market is going to continue. Also, if you want even more confirmation, if you want to be cautious, you can treat these levels with the same rationale applied to any other support or resistance. So you can wait, for example, for the change of polarity. Let me see if I can find, okay, here it is. It's not perfect, but it'll do. So let's say you want to go long on US dollar Canadian resistance. You want it to become a support. So you wait for an acceleration, a pullback, and you're going to buy the pullback on weakness, aiming for the extension of the move. Okay, so it's very simple. You take a trending instrument, when it breaks support and the algorithmic analysis is coherent with a continuation, you go short. When you have a trending instrument inside a bullish trend, the market breaks resistance, the algorithmic analysis is supporting the continuation, and you go long. And you also have a confirmation here, because here you don't only have a time frame changer. As you can see, I click here, M15, M30, exactly as the one provided by the MetaTrader. But here, as you can see, every time frame is colored differently. So this simple instrument tells you what the price action is actually doing specifically on every time frame. And of course, the description of the price action is made by the colors. So you have, I'm not going to tell you exactly, we're going to have other occasions, and you're going to find in the settings of the instrument exactly the condition which attributed to every color. But you have long candles, so you are above the open. Short candles, you have breakout conditions above the high or about the above or below the low, and also the break-in patterns. So the instrument tells you for example, here, when there's been a break-in, like here, which is a counter trend indication. As you can see, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc broke the previous low, daily low, and it came back above the previous low. So it's probably starting a correction. And the low was marked near a percentage level. So here we could have a long setup. As you can see, the price action is mostly bullish up to the daily time frame at this point. Okay. So very simple, very straightforward. You just have to identify the trend, and the Square dashboard does that for you. And then you just wait for the breakout of a resistance or of a support. And if the algorithmic study says okay, you open a buy or a sell position. And of course, you use the levels to set up your position management. So also stop loss and take profit. This is not the only study that we provide. Of course, as I told you, we have 3 different technical analysis models. This is an even simpler one. And I should tell you, actually, the percentage levels are those that I personally use, that I have been using for the past 3 years at least to do my operations. I'm mostly a counter trend operator. And of course, with these levels and with the support of the algorithmic analysis and with the support of a little bit of experience, I really managed to perform very well, because this is Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. So it's not the euro dollar. It's not an harmonic, necessarily an harmonic instrument. And as you can see, even here, all the swing points happen exactly on the levels or around the levels. So these levels are very powerful for every type of financial instrument. Now, moving on to the other template that we have available. Here we have the bid-ask template. Here we find again the time frame indicator, and algo MTF, which is the indicator that provides the algorithmic analysis. And I should mention, it's a binary information. So you don't have to exactly look at the level of the indicator. You don't have to mind any type of crossing or any type of signal line doing something. You either get a bullish reading or a bearish reading. And you can also set up the values of the indicator to show a particular analysis. So for example, going back for just a second here, you have the RSI. This is the indicator that plots it. And we gave the 50 value. So as a result, our instrument gives you a bearish reading when the RSI is below 50 and a bullish reading when the RSI is above 50. Okay, it's very simple to read. You just have to look at the breakout and the reading. So this is the weekly trading of euro Canadian dollar. As you can see, breakout of the resistance, algorithmic analysis in accordance. We also had the change of polarity of the resistance, and then it skyrocketed 2%. So this is a 1.2% gain, 1.5% gain for the week. It's 194 pips, and you also had the confluence of a previous price structure near the potential objective for the week. The same goes for every instrument. I mean, it's really mind-boggling at times how precise this indicator can be, the entry signal and also the exit signals. But let's move back to bid-ask. This is an even simpler setup that can help beginners, for example. And here we have an indicator, the bid-ask, which is an indicator that plots the previous highs and lows of the selected time frame on the chart. We have daily, weekly, and monthly highs and lows, and by placing the arrow on the levels, we will know exactly to which period they refer. So up to H1, we see previous highs and lows, daily highs and lows, okay? On H4, we see weekly highs and lows, and on the daily time frame, we see monthly highs and lows. And these are, of course, they're perhaps less effective than the percentage levels, which are exclusive. We've never seen that around. We had this simple but very powerful intuition, but they are nonetheless institutional levels, because of course market participants decide what to do on specific price levels. And as the percentage levels, the highs and lows of the daily, weekly, and monthly timeframes are, of course, turning points. Usually, the market either moves forward, breaks out, and continues to go, or it rebounds, it reacts, it corrects one way or the other. And the other indicator that we have here, as algorithmic analysis, here we have the MACD, but as I told you, you can customize that, you can personalize that. And then we have MA in color, which is a simple indicator. It's just a moving average indicator, but its peculiarity is that it plots a different moving average on every time frame. And they're not the usual moving averages, the 20 days or 21, the 50, 100, 200, which their only value is probably due to the fact that everybody looks at them. You find them on any technical analysis distributed by anyone, but they're not as effective as the one plotted by our instrument, which gives you a moving average related to a very specific time horizon. And as I was mentioning, a different moving average related to a specific time horizon on every time frame. If we start from the monthly time frame, we can see the annual moving average. On the weekly time frame, of course, here you don't get the levels. Here we see the semi-annual moving average. On the daily time frame, we see the quarterly. On H4, we have the monthly moving average. On H1, the weekly moving average. On M30, the daily. And then we have the 4-hour moving average, the 1-hour moving average, and the 30 minutes moving average. Now, why are these moving averages important? They are so because I can tell from years of observation, and also because we added a feature to this indicator, which probably is going to come soon on one-click FX, that tells us what's the average touch. But without going into that, I can tell you, I can assure you that unless there's an attack on the Bank of Japan, unless we're starting QE after the pandemic, every instrument, especially the typically mean reverting ones, are going to go back to the average within that period. So we're going to have a pullback of the daily moving average every day, a pullback of the weekly moving average every week, a pullback of the monthly moving average every month. And if we are in excess territory, so you're looking at the weekly moving average, and it's a week and a half that the market doesn't go back to the weekly moving average, it means that on a support or a resistance, such as this one, we're going to try and take the contrarian approach in view of a return to the average. So we can use this tool, this specific template, in a very easy way, or in a more complex with a contrarian approach. So the easy way would be, I'm above the weekly moving average. It is going to stay above and continue above for the whole week. And if the algorithmic analysis is in line with that view, I'm going to take a position. Maybe I'm going to wait for the change of polarity, which is also highlighted by the instrument. As you can see, when the breakout becomes clear, the moving average changes color. So it was a potential resistance up to here, and then after the breakout, the pullback, it became a support, and the market went to the sky, as you can see. So the easy approach, I'm above the moving average. I also saw the change of polarity. Indication of how long this movement can last, because I'm above the weekly moving average. So if I open a position on Monday or Tuesday, perhaps I will have a chance to maintain this position up to Friday. Okay, and then if I am in excess, so this is the simple way. I'm below the moving average, again, change of polarity. I break previous support, I go with the trend. Okay, then if I am a bit more experienced, I can also use it to assume a contrarian approach. So I monitor starting from the moving average that I am looking at. I monitor the excess, and when I'm in excess territory, I start trying to go counter trend on previous resistances and supports in view of a return on the average. Okay, and then when the market is going to go back to its average, like it did here, I'm going to evaluate whether or not, once I've completed the long setup, I'm also going to close it and go back in trend. Okay, so very simple. If we use it for a trend following approach, a little bit less simple with a contrarian approach, but I can guarantee you a very effective opportunity for all the contrarians out there that always like to say no to the market. No, now you're starting to do something else. I know, and that would be me. It's a little bit risky, but it pays off, I gotta tell you. And I use mainly this instrument, and I sometimes combine it with the moving average, with the MA in color, because keep in mind, you have all three studies. So you can also combine the info that you get from one template with the ones you get from the other template. Okay, and then finally, we have a somewhat of a we have a price action indicator, which is very good for following the trend, of course, but it's also a learning tool because it helps you to understand how the price action of the higher time frames is actually formed. Because as you can see here, we are on H1, the hourly time frame, and we can see basically Japanese candles over the hourly candlesticks. And these in particular are the daily candlesticks. Okay, so you have the current daily high, current daily low. This would be the opening, and of course we still don't have the close. But for the previous candlesticks, we have all the levels already, of course, marked. And so this gives you an opportunity to see on a lower time frame how the higher time frames candlestick actually form. So you see all the false breakouts, all the false signals. You can actually see very clearly what in the market is called as noise. Okay, because sometimes beginners go directly. I did that, so I can testify to that. They go to the 1 minute time frame. They have no idea what's happening on a higher time frame, and they think that they can deduce something from what's happening on an M1 time frame without knowing everything else. Okay, so this is quite useful for those who are just starting to study the price action and the ways of the price action. So it can be a learning tool, but also it's a tool that's very interesting to follow on H4. You see the weekly candles, and on the daily time frame you see the monthly candles. And this is very important for a trader, knowing what the higher time frames are doing at all times and where are the relevant levels, the highs, the lows, the openings, and the closing. and the closes. Okay, so trending instrument, because every template should be used in accordance with the analysis provided by Square Dashboard. So pound US dollar, the cable is in a bearish trend, yes. It breaks below the previous monthly low, yes. The algorithmic analysis, here we have the stochastic oscillator, is bearish, yes. Okay, I can continue to follow this market, and I can do so up until the end of the month. If we were to open a short position here in April at the breakout of the previous monthly low, and to keep it up to the last day of the month, this would have been a 412 pips trade, okay? And then we would have waited a little bit, then the market went back into a bearish trend, and here there were another 800 points, 800 pips, okay? So very useful for students, but also very useful to follow the trend. Of course, when the trend breaks, we can also we can effectively use these levels, which are important levels, to set up our contrarian entries. Okay, as you can see, you have an all-round product that gives you the trend analysis of the single instruments and of the different asset classes, and then 3 technical models, one better than the other in reverse order, I'd say, because the first one is actually the best, the percentage analysis, that are going to guide you in setting up your trades and improving your chances to have a sustainable operativity, because that's in the end what we are after. I mean, I am a trader, and I expect from my activity at the end of the month, I'm going to have a payoff. Okay, I don't do it because I have to perform. I'm not going to apply to manage money at an hedge fund. I'm a simple independent trader such as yourselves, and I have to do it so that at the end of the month, this is an income for me. And using these instruments in the past years, I've managed to do that. Discipline, and this is the most important thing. This is something that I mentioned at the beginning. These instruments help with emotion, with the control of emotions. Why? Not because they're magical in some way, and just by looking at them, you're going to control your emotions. The important thing is, the distinctive thing is that when you have an operational grid, such as this one, you have a clear way to determine whether or not you're going to open a position, and you're going to have an even clearer idea about when you're going to close it at a loss or with a profit. So I explain this to you. It's very, very simple. Let me use an arrow. So the week opens at pound US dollar. I'm not going to go long or short inside the box, because this is my neutral zone, all right? But if, and only if, like an algorithm, if it breaks support, it changes polarity, the algorithmic analysis is in accordance, only then I'm going to open a short position. When I'm going to renounce to my idea, when it goes above here. So I have a 1-to-1 risk reward. This is my stop loss, because if I'm looking for this and the market does this, I don't want to be here with the position open, of course. So here I'm going to place my stop loss. And also I want to have a clear cut exit point, because what makes the difference between a winning and a losing trader is taking profits. A checklist. I have to have 3, 4, 2 conditions to do something. If they are there, I intervene, I do something. And if they're not, I move on. I don't do anything. And also, I want to have a clear idea where I'm going to take profit, where I'm going to rack in the fruits of my activity so as to have something at the end of the month that tells me you're doing a job, you're doing a good job, it's worth your while staying in front of the markets. And I learned to do that only using specific instruments such as these ones. So it's really something that I invite you to really try, to really have a look at, because not only in terms of usability of the platform, but also in terms of performances, this could really revolutionize your trading career. These instruments did it for me, and both me and Mila at Vantage would really like that these instruments could do the same for you. So I'm going to go back to the slides and conclude by saying that one-click FX is for everyone. It's for beginners, it's for experienced traders. And the best thing, as you can see, we give you some reasons, but I think I explained myself in detail about what these instruments can do for you. And the best thing is that you can have them for free. So I'd like to involve Mila at this point, which is going to who's going to explain to you how to get the instruments.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Fabrizio. Great explanation of the tool and all the templates. But yes, we are very, very pleased to provide a 2-week free trial to our Vantage clients. Anyone who has a live account can start using it as soon as possible. And you can see for yourself how useful it is, how you can essentially trade smarter at Vantage. So essentially the requirements, so it's a 15-day free trial. You have to have a live trading account, doesn't matter if it's STP or ECN. It has to be verified. So make sure if you don't have one already, upload your KYC documents just to finalize the account. You don't have to fund your account until following the 15-day period. And then we will request a $500 minimum deposit to continue using the tool. If you have any questions or concerns following all of the presentation, please reach out. I'll write it in the chat as well, but reach out to clientsuccess@vantagemarkets.com or your account manager if you have one for more information. And I would be very happy to guide you through that. But that's about it, I think. Fabrizio? Hold on.
Sorry.
Sorry. I could hear you now.
I was,
Sorry,
but I couldn't talk.
No worries.
I actually started, but then I realized. Well, yes, I think we said it all. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present these tools, and I want to thank everybody for being here today. So hope we're going to see you guys for our next webinar, right, Mila? We're going to do another one in October.
October the 11th, UK time, I think is 5 p.m., same as today's one. And yeah, again, you can all check in. Before then, you can contact Client Success. I'll write it now in the chat. I see we've got a question from Wakas. If we lost the trades and then what, do we have to deposit again 500? So regarding that, for now, no, there's no controlling, there's no rule. As long as you've made the first $500 net deposit, you won't lose access. So for now, no, you can continue using the tool. And I'll just write as well the email, vantagemarkets.com. If you guys have any more questions, because we'll wrap this up shortly, let Fabrizio enjoy his weekend, but any emails, please, or any requests, please contact the email below. Fabrizio, good?
Yes, all good.
Awesome. Okay.
There's another question about the recording.
Yeah.
The webinar is being recorded.
Sure. I can, email all the attendees and all the registrants a copy of the recording. That shouldn't be a problem. That will be, and
sorry about this. I'd like to add that we have another profile in the package, and here you're gonna find the one-click FX tutorial, the link to the one-click FX tutorial, and you get a YouTube video where I explain everything I told you today. You're gonna find it always there. There's also an installation tutorial. It's very simple, and also so you're gonna be in the position to enjoy it and understand how to use it on your own, because there's all the material. But also periodically we're gonna set up these webinars, which are going to be opportunities to better understand, better explain how to use the tools. So I'm actually looking forward to those.
Me too. Awesome. Yep. The next one is the 11th of October for all us English speakers. And if you speak Italian, we have ongoing every week, just in case. I thought I'd let you guys know.
Okay.
Awesome.
Mila, really, thanks a lot. Thanks
Thank
to
you,
all of you
Fabrizio.
guys. And so let's all enjoy a great weekend. And I'll see you guys in October. Really, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for participating. And